But there was one massive problem. I was running this business predominantly from my home office, where I lived in an apartment, and I felt completely lonely, totally isolated and lost. Something that I think so many people experience, but not very many of us talk about. I started to question everything, and I started to think questions like, what am I doing? What is the point of all of this? And the more I thought about those questions, the more confused I felt. I became more and more negative, more and more self-defeatist, and literally this positive, optimistic, and go-get-it person that I once was had just disappeared. Then it got to 2010, and I felt like I was in complete despair. And so I packed my bags, and I went travelling to Australia in the hope of having an epiphany. No epiphany. So then I came back to the UK and felt even more miserable than before because all of my problems were still waiting for me and the weather was rubbish. And then finally, in 2011, I figured out where I was going wrong. And I believe I was going wrong for two massive reasons. The first reason was that, yes, I wanted to be successful, but mobile phone unlocking was not my dream. And at the time, I was reading this book by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth. And in The E-Myth, there's this chapter on primary aims. And Michael Gerber says, imagine walking into a room. And sat in the room are your friends and family. And as you walk down the center of the room, you see a box. And as you get to the front of the room, you realize that you're in the box, and it's your funeral. And he says, what kind of things do you want people to be saying about the kind of life that you lived, about the kind of person that you were and the kind of things that you achieved? And I realized I had no idea. So there was no wonder that I felt so off track. And the second reason why I think I went wrong is because of what was going on up here, what was going on in my head, all these doubts, all these worries, all this self-limiting belief. And I came across a quote by Anthony Robbins that said, your destiny is determined by the choices you make. Choose now, choose well. And I realized that I was responsible for this misery. I was responsible for the fact that I was stuck in a rut. And I realized that if I wanted to live an incredible life and achieve amazing things, and I really did, that I had to get my mind to be on the same wavelength as me.